Hey everyone, Suzy Woo here. Happy New Year to you. We're going to talk about what in the heck is going on in our world as today, January 11th, 2025, get used to saying that, brings us what's called a nodal shift. And what that means is there are points generated. Let's just skip through the jargon. So there are points that have to do with the moon. And they change signs every year and a half. And today is the day that they actually change signs. For the past year and a half, they've been in the sign of Aries and Libra. If you are a Libra, it has not been fun. And I'm sorry. The North Node is what we need for collective healing. And the South Node is what we need to excrete, also known as Rahu, the dragon's head, and Ketu, the dragon's tail. So for everybody, we have had a need to disconnect from codependent relationships, figure out who we are, what we stand for, and maybe start getting a little curiosity over our purpose. Why are we here as an individual? The North Node, which has been in Aries for the past year and a half, asks you to align with who you are as an individual. The South Node in Libra is social and relationships. There are so many clients I have, people that I know who have had very long-term relationships came to an abrupt end. The same for careers. So wherever this lands in your chart, it's going to illuminate two areas of life that are opposite one another. Whatever those areas of life are now changing. For the next year and a half, the North Node, what we need for healing, is going to be in the sign of Pisces. Well, I have so much to say about it. Collectively, it means we need to bring in a spiritual component, align with our belief systems, align with a greater power, if you will. And what we need to excrete is Virgo energy. Where are you being anal with yourself? Where are you being so nitpicky, so judgy, so critical? It's not life and death, right? So if somebody doesn't pick up after themselves and you get really sick of it, put it into like a priority, prioritize that. It's not life and death. Let it go. Of course, correct the person if it becomes a habit. But geez, ease up. That's what. If you are a Virgo, the South Node is in your sign. It's going to be a little bumpy. How you can use this to your advantage, though. It's great for the Pisces people because the North Node is going to be in your sign. And this is going to help you align with who you are. Now, everything can have a positive higher road expression and a lower road expression. The higher road expression of Pisces is forgiveness. Where do you need to forgive? Are you still dragging on stuff from your childhood and making people pay for it today? Are you still full of resentment and anger and entitlement? You owe me. Okay, that's not going to serve you going forward. Okay, it really never has energetically anyway, but now it's going to be even more prominent. The healthy side of Pisces is forgiveness for healing. It is I see the God in you, and I honor that. And I'm going to let you be who you are. I don't need to convince you of my way. I'm going to let you have your way, and I'm going to love you, even though we're different. Super love that. It does also rule immigrants. It rules the immune system, and it rules the feet. Pisces is a very pure energy. Very, very pure. Pisces people and water signs, but Pisces, let's stick with what I'm talking about. Pisces people, sun sign, moon sign, rising sign, sometimes can lack boundaries. Extremely creative, wonderfully creative, great with songwriting, musicians, tattoo artists, sculptors and painters and ice sculpture people, because Pisces is water, any of that kind of thing. And I think, all right, so I'm done with that. Moving on, the high road of Pisces. High road of Pisces is spiritual, is prayers, is meditation. Now, it also is isolating yourself. When you need to get away from the hubbub out in the real world, that is Pisces. Monks and nuns and monasteries and institutions and being institutionalized is all governed by Pisces. It's a beautiful energy. It's very, very pure and innocent and sees the good in all. Therefore, when somebody shows you their true colors and maybe they are not so supportive, the Pisces energy sees the God in them and says, that's okay, I forgive you. But then they do it again and do it again and do it again. The lesson for the Pisces people is, I need to distance myself from y'all, because you are not living up to your potential. Your words and your actions don't match. I wish that you could see in you what I see in you, says the Pisces energy. Pisces and water signs kind of suck at boundaries because water has no boundary. Water takes the form of whatever you pour it into. Water people, which is going to be Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, they're very, very different. But the water signs need to learn how to form healthy boundaries and then sustain them. Water people are very easily addicted to things, addicted to escapism, addicted to anything that avoids confrontation and conflict. I don't want to talk about the elephant in the room. So instead, I'm going to comfort eat and comfort drink because I don't know how to address my emotions, or I don't know how to sort through my emotions. The water signs are emotions, emotionality, and then spiritual. So these are things you can't see. So how do you fight something you can't see, right? I don't know. I just know that I feel this way. I don't know what to do about it. Well, you have to talk. You have to bring in air element to be able to give voice to these things. Water people can tend to hold everything inside, and then it will show up as a symptom. Everything exists. Every possible thing possible exists somewhere. Whatever you align to is going to be what your outcomes are. Here's the example I always like to use is the throat energy. So you may or may not know, but for 22 years I was in an extremely violent relationship. And so I quote unquote lost my voice. I had no idea who I was anymore. I was disconnected from who I truly was, and I was operating like a marionette or a puppet. Well, if I would have sounded a tuning fork, let me grab one. Okay, so here is a tuning fork. Now, when I was in that marriage, if I would have stricken this fork and brought it close to my throat, it would have went silent because I lost my voice. This is the seat of communication, so it's really important. Nowadays, I know who I am and I can project, obviously. So if I strike this fork, oh, it sounds. It doesn't go silent at all. All right, let's come back to what I was talking about. Now, Pisces energy, water signs. Water is emotion and it is spirit. Now, with the North Node in Pisces, yay for you if you're a Pisces, because a lot of your prayers will get answered. And if you're a water sign and you're not a Pisces, so if you have Scorpio or Cancer, Sun, Moon, Rising, this energy is going to form what's called a trine, which is friendly. So it's going to help amp you up, especially where you may have been stuck, overly grounded, sluggish, unable to move. This changes. It's awesome. Now, let me add in that the planet Jupiter is going to move into the sign of Cancer in June. More water. And Jupiter expands or amplifies anything it touches. The downside of that, flooding out in the world. But let's come back to a personal level. This is going to super boost you water signs. Super love this. So it's going to either trine or it's going to conjunct you if you have whatever the water is you have in your chart is going to be activated. So yeah, it could turn on your emotions, but emotions are not a bad thing. Like, we're human and emotions are part of the human makeup. We have to have them. And they're in there to serve as little voices to help us realize what needs our attention. That's why you got them, right? So the worst thing we can do is choke down our emotions. If we need to cry, cry. Like, water is cleansing, water is healing, water is life. Don't ignore your water. It's very important that you stay hydrated with water, pure water, not, soda or coffee, or I'm talking pure water. And you want living water. Living water. If you live where there's a well and you just use a UV light to clean to disinfect the back, that's what you want. Living water. You don't want the stuff that a municipality has put a whole bunch of toxins in to freeze your little this, okay? We don't want that. And if you are unable to have living water and you have to have bottled water, then you pray into it. Water has memory. Now, if you're a water sign, if you have a lot of water in your chart, you have the ability to read water. And how can you test this? I'm uneven there. How do you test this? You go to where there's a living body of water, like a lake or a pond or something like this. And you take a nice clean glass vessel, right? A jar or something. You take a nice clean vessel and you put the water in it. Then what I recommend is you wake up your palm chakras. Rub your hands together really briskly until you get some heat going on and feel whatever you feel there. It might be tingles, warmth, coolness, pulsing, magnetic, breezy. It's different for everybody. But everyone's got this. So you wake up your palm chakras. Now you take the water in the jar. Oops, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit the microphone. And you put it between your hands, in front of your heart, and you close your eyes. And you're going to either start getting visions, words, quote unquote memories, a story, colors, words, any kind of thing. Please try it, because it works. You don't realize how powerful you are. Water is nature. What are you mostly made up of? So like. When you have living water, you are living water. And so all you're doing is you're calling into your cousin and you're asking it to tell you a story. You're calling it up on the phone and you're saying, show me what's going on in your world. That's what happens. And the water just reveals. There's no judgment. Well, I don't like you. I'm not telling. It's not like that at all. Okay, let's get back to where we were. So when Jupiter moves into Cancer, it's going to be wonderful. Everybody waits for Jupiter to come into their sign. Now, it might not have been so great for Gemini, which is where it still is, and it's going to shift out of Gemini into Cancer in June. And that is going to help the water people. Actually, it's going to help everybody to increase their intuition. And who doesn't want more of that, right? It'll help you to feel more empathic and empathetic. It'll help you to feel more. Wait a minute, I hear you. You're like, I'm already sensitive. I don't want more sensitivity. Okay. Well, John Holland, so he's a psychic medium from like the Boston area. He's a great guy. And I've studied him for a minute. I met him and stuff. And one of the things that he says is the price of sensitivity is sensitivity. Totally agree with that. So if you choose to work with the healing arts, if you choose to do like readings and healings or anything like that, it does increase your sensitivity. But the key is to have healthy boundaries. In other words, when you're doing like a meditation or anything of the healing arts, right? You've got a whole bunch of spirit guides. Well, you get to set your own hours. You have to set your boundaries, because otherwise this stuff is going to follow you and it's always going to be there. And it's going to like make you go bonkers. I have a story to share with you. So I used to have a regular job, and it was at the IRS, and it was horrible. It was toxic and obviously not creative at all, but it paid the bills. So that is doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. I got to put food on the table. I have children, blah, blah. But when you... Not when you... So I worked with a person who I swear is my soul sister. I adore her and love her. And so she is very devoted in Christianity, and she started seeing people's heads. Like, I feel like, this, right? And they were in her mind. And they weren't going away. And we would talk and laugh and giggle, and we had such a beautiful time together. Well, why this happens is because you have to find who that belongs to. And then you deliver the message to who it belongs to, and then that message will stop bugging you. So let me just finish sharing this. So this particular woman was in my friend's head, and now it's Friday, and the IRS is closed on the weekend, so she goes home. This lady follows my friend home in her head, and she's like, "Look, lady, you gotta stop." And she and I would just giggle about this kind of thing. Well, eventually, she's going around the space, and there was this woman, and my friend said she lit up, like a pillar of light was over her, and she knew that the person in her head belonged to her. And so, but she was afraid to approach her. I'm like, you gotta tell her, because this lady won't leave you alone otherwise. And so eventually she's like, you know what? I don't know you. I feel really silly, but can I sit down? And she starts describing this woman, and it was the lady's mom, and it was a big, beautiful thing. So you have to trust what you're getting. Now, my point of that is you have to set boundaries with your spirit guides. In other words, I only want to do my spirit work when I'm holding this blue pen, or between the hours of 8 and 10 on Wednesdays, or something like that. You have to set your hours and your boundaries with your spirit guides. Now, I know every single Bugs Bunny cartoon out there. Like, I just about have all of the words memorized. It's just a weird thing that I have. And so for me, I don't want to see blood, guts, and gore. I don't want to see dismembered people. I don't want to see harm to children. I don't want to see like the anatomical stuff. So Spirit will use Bugs Bunny cartoons. They will give me a little piece of a cartoon to get the gist of it, or music, because I'm a huge music person, and sometimes they'll give me like bits and phrases of a song. That's how I get shown information. Your spirit guides are flexible, all right? So this whole North Node in Pisces for the next year and a half is spiritual. What a time to launch a spiritual business, a spiritual practice. Crack that nutshell open and start to inquire, who am I? What's my purpose? Why am I here? How can I feel more connected? How can I plug in with my sense of purpose? That's what this is for, isn't it great? But it's soft and it's subtle. It could be fleeting. You could miss it. So a lot of us, okay, everyone's getting more sensitive with the Schumann resonance going berserk, crazy high. Everyone's becoming way more sensitive. You want to get clear on your intention, because intention is your driving force to everything. It can't be ego driven, or it's going to be short-sighted and it won't be as fruitful. What is it that you want for yourself? What do you want your legacy to be? And it can't be for, just being a parent. There's more. What about you as an individual? Okay? Maybe it's as simple as you want to work with the energy centers of the body, the chakras. Maybe you want to learn mudras, or, anything that has an understanding that there is a driving force outside of my physical body. And I want to explore that. That'll work. Because your spirit guides, they're like invisible parents who adore you, but it's like they're watching you through acrylic. And they cannot reach in and go, yo! Instead, they're waiting for you to ask, where's my mama? Where's my dada? And they're going to show up in a falling feather, a falling coin, maybe their name on the side of a semi or on a license plate, or you turn the radio on and it's something about them. This is how spirit works. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. And it's you. It's what gives you life. It's consciousness, right? You're not just a physical body. The physical is the outcome. So when I was going back to my throat there. So if over a long period of time, I continue to never speak up for myself, to never stand up for myself, to not stand on my truth, and how could I? Because I didn't know who I was. Then it will show up as a symptom, and that's your outcome. And that in this instance would be like a thyroid issue, anything with the throat or neck. It's just the way it works. So anywhere that you have an injury or strain or inflammation, wherever you might have lots of, you keep on hurting yourself on the left side, it means you need to practice more self-care. And now let's move to Virgo. South Node in Virgo. All right. Now, South Node in Virgo, that has to do with health. That has to do with stress, anxiety, more anxiety than stress. It has to do with the foods that you eat, purity. So both of these are pure. Both of these have pure. But pure consciousness with Pisces, it's the last sign of the zodiac. It's the highest evolution in the body. Virgo is digestion. How well can I digest what's going on in my life, right? That's Virgo energy. So if you are a Virgo, you most likely have sensitive skin or allergies, or certain people can make you break out in a rash. This is common. And then there could be OCD, having a list of lists. I can't leave the house until I get through all of these lists, spin around and clap 3 times. So it can be quite superstitious at the extreme. Or maybe the lower road expression. The high road expression of Virgo, analytical. So definitely the words are I analyze. You don't want to run into analysis paralysis, going back to the shadow side, or the lower road expression is I have so many great ideas and I'm organizing them, but I can't get out of my own head, and I'm overanalyzing and not getting anything done because I can't stop spinning. So I have 5 planets in Virgo in my career house. This is writing. I have Mercury, loves to be in Virgo. I'm a writer, I'm a speaker, right? So it's just part of who I am. Well, I am the grammar police, and I can get to kind of hate myself for it, because it gets to be a little obsessive. This can be the low road of Virgo. You watch or you read an article out of a paper, and you find every single typo. Now, to me, those typos stick out like a sore thumb. They're very blatant. I went to New York City and I saw a grand opening, what do you call these, tapestries hanging on the front of the building with a typo in it. I'm like, how could you? Anyways, that's the shadow side of Virgo. Maybe you can relate. We don't have to be right. Let them figure it out. Okay, I got another one. My son and I went to lunch, and they had the words on the menu. They had the word sandwiches spelled wrong. It's a restaurant. How do you not have what? Right? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, let's step down from there for a moment. So the South Node, what we need to excrete is that obsession to be right, the need to correct people, to be the grammar cops, to look for that perfect aesthetic, to make sure everything is meticulously correct, analysis paralysis. Gemini is the thought gatherer, the fact checker, and then it passes it off to Virgo, which now analyzes. So the South Node in Virgo is inviting you to loosen up a little bit. Massage the need to correct everybody all the time. It doesn't come easy, but that's what this is going to be about. Health, it is a health axis. This can bring up issues around martyrdom. Are you bleeding out so everyone else can live? Stop. Okay? Because you can't give from an empty bucket, right? If you are running on fumes, who are you to offer rides to everybody? Right? You gotta ask for the gas money. You can't just give all the time. There's gotta be some getting back. There must be reciprocity. And so the axis of Pisces Virgo is my higher self, the spiritual realm, and Virgo is earth, so that's manifestation. So in the concrete world. So I'm looking at my outcomes. How can I change the outcomes that I have manifested for myself? Through prayer, through meditation, through contact with your spirit guides, through getting clarity and expressing clarity on what it is that you would like for yourself and in your life. Right? That's what it's about. So it's super exciting. Super, super exciting. I got to give you a couple predictions because I've now learned when I start getting a particular feeling, it always happens. So I gave some pretty big predictions that happened. I'm definitely feeling a split of the United States. I feel the boundary lines of the United States is going to be changing. I feel natural resources and the allocation of them are going to be changing. It looks like some of our own water sources are going to be changing. And it looks like I'm actually visualizing seeing right now water coming down from northern Canada that's coming into our feed lines. And I'm seeing the words natural resources. So that's going to be shifting. Something's going to be cut off. So there's some kind of a division. And then property lines are smeared and smudged. So this could be problems with like title companies being bribed and smudging. I don't know. You can't smudge property lines because that's what surveys are for. But it's going to be something like that. It might be some organization coming through asking you to contribute, a quarter of your land, and then you can get some kind of a return or compromising, something like this. Let's move away from that. Absolutely lots of flooding. I'm seeing that in places that's not normal. And we did just see that, in fact. That's what happened in North Carolina. This is going to happen globally. I'm definitely seeing that. And I'm also seeing like islands, like almost like cracking and folding in, and something upsurges. It's kind of like, I can't remember exactly the way that goes, but the the Titanic, after it goes down, there's the big splash after. There is other islands and once populated civilizations, lost civilizations that are coming off of the floor of whatever the body of water is and coming partially up, and they're going to be discovered by like divers or something like that. And key to Atlantis. So someone's going to discover this key to Atlantis, and it's a time tunnel or a time capsule. That's super cool. And then when that's happening, there's going to be a distraction that happens. So that could be a red flag event. And then what's going to happen, almost like a saving yin yang grace, is the grace of the energy of Lemuria is restored. I almost feel like it's been locked away, and the door opens on this vault and this beautiful radiance. And this is shimmery pastel greens, pinks, mauves, peaches, mauve peach color. These muted pastel-y colors. I'm seeing fishtail, that's mermaid. So this beautiful essence is gonna be the gentle, loving response to what looks like the end of Atlantis, which was more masculine, becoming power hungry. Well, I do know that it was like, well, I don't know, but resources, that they just like devoured the resources and then became power hungry. So these are things that are coming up this year. It's the rediscovery or new discovery, which is going to open particular portals. Definitely is it Mu or Mu? Mu, M-U, which was Lemuria, which is now some pieces of Hawaii. There's something else that's coming up though. So other land masses may rise. Well, what I'm seeing is not to the surface, but enough where divers can discover them. And then in other places, things, or what do you call this? Wreckages will come to the surface. And it's through the shifting of the tectonic plates of the earth. So through seismic activity, it is enough to release some things to come up. But then there's other catastrophic events that are going down and going down. Something goes down, something comes up. And that's going to be all of this year. And it's very topsy-turvy. I'll move into a longer predictions, not now. But those are some of the things that I'm getting for the immediacy. I'm seeing an evacuation of the presidency. I don't know what happens, but it's very, very fast. I feel like... I feel that our president gets whisked somewhere and that there's an empty seat. And that feels that there's white extraterrestrials. That's a positive thing. I've never received the term white extraterrestrials before. That's the way I'm getting it right now. They're escorting them. I almost feel like a slit in the cosmic fabric, or like an escape hatch, but it's a healthy one. It's a good one. It's not a dirty one. And then it gets turned back to the people. Like, what is it that you want? This is great. It's great. Now, I also want to just share with you that the era of Aquarius, it's the beginning of that. We are officially ending a Kali Yuga phase, which is the end of dark ages, the end of age of darkness. And humanity just like plummeted itself way down to, very little of our DNA is activated. But what we're entering into is this awakening, which is a higher activation of our DNA. And the more highly activated your DNA is, the more you can manipulate matter. What does that mean? Walk on water, right? So people can levitate. Like, it's not magic. It's not weirdness. It's not mysticism. It's just a higher state of higher state of consciousness, and without an elimination of distraction. So there's all kinds of people on the planet right now who can literally levitate, plenty of people can move things with their mind, telekinesis. That's very real. So defying gravity is the levitation. And then it's just a stronger pulse of, I keep on getting the word miracle now. So what we view as a miracle isn't. It's just a manipulation of matter. Now, from the works of amazing Dr. Lynn McTaggart and others, I got to also give credit to my favorite person in the whole world, Bruce Lipton, and then Dr. Joe Dispenza, and Nassim Harriman. Those are like my idols. I hope to share a stage with them one day. But through their work, I got so excited I forgot where I was going with that. Is that you can manipulate matter. And that's why quantum healing works. So I am a quantum healer. You could look at my YouTube channel for other videos where I've demonstrated that and just see what you feel. Because again, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I'm here to share information. And if it works, great. If not, just turn the channel. Right? It's that simple. Okay. What can you expect over this next year and a half? A spiritual evolution revolution, down with particular figureheads in religious sects. I'm absolutely seeing implosions everywhere when it comes to finance, education, and healthcare. But this is the year and a half starting today that the Virgo is our service, people who are in the service industry, and that includes healthcare workers. And then the 12th sign is Pisces, and that's where we're moving towards. Guess what that is? Spiritual healing. Yeah. So we're not going to need conventional medicine or be dependent on it. And in fact, the lid's been getting blown off of that, especially since 2020. Back in the day, the doctors would make house calls and they were real and it wasn't motivated from Rothschilds. But I have to tell you, I've had so many clients who are or have been nurses, doctors, healthcare workers who since 2020 have had their own feelings and they're leaving their post. And it's actually good because the vacancy there is causing an upsurge for the holistic people. And that holistic is treating whole. And just like the throat example, speaking your truth. If you don't speak your truth over a period of time and you let people walk all over you, you're going to have a thyroid issue. How do you balance that? By singing, by chanting, by praying out loud, by having healthy discussions. You have to exercise that so that you don't have atrophy. That's the way it is. And people can heal themselves. So we're not going to need conventional medicine, which is a tremendous cash flow for the wrong people. All right, guys. I think that's enough for now. Happy January 11th. Welcome to this new portal. It's also supported. Okay, I'm not done. I want to add one other thing. The fact that the planet Pluto has now completely moved into Aquarius, which is also an air sign. All right. I am seeing, unfortunately, fighter jets and more flames. That wasn't going to be what I was going to say, but that's what I'm seeing, and my job is to tell you what I see. Excuse me. All right, so lots of rapid advancement in not only technology, but aerospace and airplanes and flight as a whole. This is something that's already there, that somebody has closed the lips on, saying, nope, we will not do that. Well, that's getting too... It's going to kind of sort of be overthrown. And it looks like we already have the ability to fly in through maybe portals or fly interdimensionally. It's always been there, but it's been hush-hushed. This is where that's coming out. It really fast flying things that are going into other dimensionality, it's not the same as timelines. Oh, how cool. And so I wanted to also say, almost like a bookend to Pluto. So Pluto has been in heavy Capricorn since about 2007 and 8, back and forth. And that's when I got my freedom back. And now, out of my abusive marriage. And now, and for you, whatever Capricorn rules over, you have not been able to move. Sluggish, slow, heavy, hard, lethargic, really, like time is so slow. Well, now things are going to start to accelerate, moving faster and faster. Watch what you pray for. Be mindful of what you're asking for. We're moving into just about instant manifestation. So no sooner do you even finish your thought, and there it is. It's wonderful. I love it. You want to ride this wave for your highest good, which means melting away any kind of ego that is power driven. I need to be powerful and I need to control everything and tell everybody and be the be all, see all, know all. No. There's no, you got to watch out. You do have to watch for false prophets. And you do have to use discernment. That's actually the most important tool that you have as a human being is discernment. Just because, one, it's always been this way doesn't mean that it's right. And then two, just because somebody has a title, it doesn't mean that they are qualified to give you information, because you're your own person. We are not cookie cutter people. And that's also why schools are failing and will fail. Our children are today are not linear like we were. They're conceptual. So you can't tell them, long math, because they're not linear. They're conceptual. So they feel energy. They're very sensitive to energy. And they're more about the outcome and let's make it right and let's do what's good for everybody, not what's just good for you. Finally, so this generation is the one to overthrow and help with the upheaval and the ejection of what has become the corrupt masculine energy. Now, that doesn't just mean men. But the patriarch, which did get corrupt, is. And so this is healing our own paternal traumas in our paternal lineage. But it also speaks to people in a position of authority that have abused that power. So this is where, what I love about Aquarius, it's by the people, for the people. And that is really what the foundation of our country was supposed to be. And clearly it is not. And that's where it's going. So it's very exciting. So we're definitely moving into a time of significant transition. But again, it is about learning who you are so you can stand in there. Be in there. Know who you are so you can stand up for what it is that you believe in. I know there's a phrase that goes with that. If you don't stand up for yourself, if you don't stand up for something, you'll fall for anything. There it is. All right, I'm going to wrap on that note. There'll be more. Feel free to find me online. It's suzy-woo.com, and it's a Z, S-U-Z-Y, or Z if you're Canadian, SUZY-WOO.com. And I am an energy healer, a psychic medium, an astrologer, and just all around a fun, nice person. And I also play gongs too. Anyway, I hope you have a beautiful year. I love you very much. And I hope that you will love yourself. Okay? We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.